We're so excited to talk to you about this film because oh my gosh, it's so cool and something that's perfect for Fantastic Fest. And you know what that means because you've been
Yeah,
because you've had a great film there before.
yeah. No, it's I'm really excited to get back to Fantastic. It's been 10 years since my last one, and I really look forward to it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, of course, one of the great surprises about Fantastic Fest is to go into a movie and not really know too much about it. So without spoiling it, what can we say about this one that doesn't really give it away, but
Sure.
gives us a little idea of what we're getting into?
Yeah, no, it's a story about a family that gets broken up by a husband marrying a second wife, which he starts a polygamous relationship or family, let's say, and yeah, and basically. It's a journey of Amani, who's our hero, and what she goes through. A lot of what we've done in this movie is really try our best to be as truthful as possible. As fun as it is, there are the thrills and there are the horror. There is the horror, but with Amani, we wanted to really hit close to home. It's a subject matter that I grew up with. It's since childhood, from neighborhood, and it's not as practiced as it used to be. But growing up, from my grandfather's generation, my father's generation, you see way more than you see today. And it's just that it's a subject matter that I wanted to be very careful into how I approach because this is not an anti-polygamy film. It is when there is consent and choice, that's a very different matter. But in this scenario where there is no choice, there is a secret punch that comes from the husband to the wife, and a gut punch, and that really kind of just that shakes up the household. And it's just an exploration of Amani's feelings and what she goes through, and her daughter, how she deals with it. And it's something that we see growing up. I remember when I was 7 years old or 8 years old, in school. That's when I first knew about polygamy. Is one of my close friends came to me and he's like, "Hey, I think my father hates me." And I'm like, "Why?" He's like, "He just married someone else, and I think he just doesn't love me anymore." And that just stuck with my head. I'm like, "Oh wow, it's." And it stuck with me in a sense where, all right, what does it do to the family? And of course, I saw it as I grew up. I saw it way closer to my home, and it's just something that I feel like it's time to talk about it, dissect it, have a conversation about it. It's more of a conversation starter than me judging it or putting my personal opinion on it. But yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's an interesting perspective too, because it's a concept that's kind of unfamiliar to a lot of American folks, and they
Right.
think, oh, maybe the Mormons do that, maybe they
Yeah.
don't,
Good point.
but but to us, I guess on the men's side of thing, it could seem like a fantasy world, or it could seem like a horror thing, so it could go either
Yes.
way. But for women,
It,
that's an interesting perspective.
Yeah, it is, and there are scenarios that happen. We just call it polygamy. We call it a second wife or a third wife, but in the West or even the East, you see it as a mistress. It's no that betrayal happens whether you call it a mistress or you call it a second wife. You know what I mean? And I think that's the idea that I think is universal, and you see it a lot of part of the world, and part of it also there was a lot of a lot of the conversation that we used and the scenes that we've used and like the dialogue that we've written is based on research of us sitting down with families that went through it and what they were speaking to each other. Like there's an instance where our hero says to her sisters like, "Hey, if you were me, what would you do?" That's the conversation I heard, and then she's like, "Yeah, did you see his face? Like, is he even worth it?"
Mhm.
And that was a conversation. I remember I was in a group where it was an older woman and a younger woman, and from two different generations, and you saw that old versus the new, and the thought difference, and I felt that. And that contrast is present with our hero and her sister, and I wanted to use a lot of these research that we've done and conversation that we've had and embed them in the movie and really kind of hone in and make it very close to home and get the right feeling out. And of course, we had Badur, who's playing our lead. And one of the things that I was very lucky with is getting a cast member that knows it and has been through it and understands it and from family members and so on. So there was a lot of me leaning on her and seeing what she feels like. So that was a very interesting process of how we got the character out. And again, the horror sequences, it was the easier part, I'd say, in this movie. We storyboarded, we shortlisted it, and we went in and we shot it. But when it came to Amani and the dialogue scene and the drama of the movie, the heart of the movie, it was really about conversations, about giving them the leg room to really explore what that feeling was. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and that must have been interesting conversations when you're doing the research and asking people about this. Did you find that they were very receptive that this was going to be a horror movie, or were they like, oh, okay, all right.
Yeah, no, it's always, I always got after like we had these conversations and they were asking me what this movie is and so on, most all of them they always said that the horror of it is the action of it.
Mhm.
It's the that betrayal is the horror. Like they would care less about the ghost. They
Yeah,
would they
yeah.
would be like, yeah, that I'll deal with that. That's fine. That's something I just move houses, right? And it is that the true horror of this movie is what Amani goes through. That's the real horror of the movie, and that's what drives a lot of the horror in the movie and the thrill in the movie is that everything's done through her. And I wanted to make sure that I didn't do any set pieces that were just like detached from her idea, her journey, and what she's going through, or Noor's journey, her daughter. So that was it was a balance of making sure that the horror and her journey are an equal that they're driven they drive each other or sorry, Amani drives them.
Hmm. Well, still, the idea is the same: is be careful who you bring into your house and be careful what you wish for, right?
Exactly.
Absolutely. Well, and of course, one of the great things about Fantastic Fest is that we see so many great filmmakers that are coming up, and then there's a lot of them sitting in the audience going, "Oh, I've got a great idea. I want to do this," but it's so much harder than you can imagine, as you know.
Yeah,
So, what
yeah.
kind of advice would you give to those filmmakers?
Is just follow your heart. I guess that was the first thing I did is and make it as personal as you can and find yourself in the story. I think when I did my first Rattle the Cage, it was a script that was written by two very talented writers, Ruckus and Lane Sky. But I think with the Val, I wanted something to hit really hit home and be part of the culture. Something I remember when I went and restudied Korean cinema and some of my favorite Korean films after making my first film, because I had a very different perspective of filmmaking after making my first. I realized that this is what was missing in my first, and this is what I wanted to do with this. Just make it as personal as possible, and have it really come from the heart.
Yeah, absolutely. So, my co-host here is Drew Pearson, who's one of our great Dallas Cowboys. Caught the Hail Mary, went in the Hall of Fame. It's kind of a interesting term, but we're at the 50th anniversary of the Hail Mary, so we got to ask you that moment in your life or career where you just kind of had to go for it and it worked out for you. What do you suppose that was for you?
It was pitching my first film. I remember I was in Spain in a summer holiday with the family, and there was an opportunity where I had to fly. I had a window, I had a very small window of flying back. And if I did, I would meet our chairman or the chairman of the Imagination, and I'll basically tell him, pitch him that I should direct the next film. And it was a split second. I had 5 minutes to think about it, and within that 5 minutes, I booked my tickets, packed my bags, and then the next half an hour I was in the car. I was in the airplane back to Dubai from Spain, back to Abu Dhabi, sorry, to from Spain, and I just made it on time. And as he was walking out, I walked in and I just told him, "Hey, could I please have a conversation with you?" And that conversation led to me 6 months later. I was on set shooting Rattle the Cage, so that was a big a big moment. And but it's that jump. Sometimes I always say is like always jump in the deep end. Like don't overthink it. Just jump and find your way out. And it was one of those. I don't know whether I'm going to catch him on time or not. I don't know whether this whole me cutting my trip short would be worth
Mhm.
it, but it was.
Oh, that's great. Well, part of that is that success mindset. And we talk about that on the show. Is there something you keep in mind that kind of keeps you on the right path or something you tell yourself that kind of keeps you focused?
Yeah, I think with filmmaking, it's a tough road. I mean, you're always like it's up and down. You just need a step at a time, one step at a time, and just keep the belief. At times, it's really hard. It's like even making this movie, like I had so many down days the past couple years, and it's just about find a goal, find why you're doing what you're doing. And for the Val, it was a case of I'm a father of two, I have two daughters, and one of the things that kept me going with this movie, and my wife kept on reminding me, is like, don't forget, no one could watch, no one needs to watch your movie. But 15 years from now, your daughters are going to watch this movie. And
Mhm.
what are you telling them? And I think that was one of the things that kept me going through with the Val and really helped me just accomplish and finish it.
That see that is interesting because of course you like to make art for everybody, but there are also very personal reasons and while it's incredible entertainment value, there's a lot being said here. So what is it that you want to tell them, or what is it that you want to tell the audience, or that you hope they'll discuss after this?
Yes, no, it's about finding who you are and your voice, and even I see myself in the money as an artist. Like I mean, find yourself. Like sometimes there is like for her journey. I don't want to get I
Yeah.
don't want to ruin the movie, but her journey is really about finding herself and finding her voice and going back to what she was, and this is what it is. I mean, there's a very beautiful line that in the end of the movie, that last line she says to her husband is like, he's like, "What are you going to be without me?" And she says to him, "I'm going to be everything that I wasn't with you." So that means I'm going to go back to what I was and who I was and find myself again.
Mhm.
And it's about rediscovering yourself.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, that's I think that's my main message in this movie.
That's beautiful. So will we get you in town in Austin for Fantastic Fest?
Yes, yes, I'm actually leaving to the airport in 7 hours.
Oh wow. Okay, that's
Yes.
wonderful. I know that flight's really long, so I
Oh,
thought
brutal.
but when you
But
get
worth it.
here, of course, there's so much great stuff to be done. Of course, there's fantastic films and there's so much to do. What are you looking forward to the most?
Just watching movies and being around filmmakers and being around people that love movies and I look forward to having conversations with people that watch my movie. And I mean, I never had it till now. So it's whether they like it or not. I want to know what it is. And it's a moment for me to really discover more about myself. And it could be a mistake or it could be something I regret or something maybe I agree or don't agree with. But being in an environment like Fantastic Fest is incredible because they love the genre, they love the horror, they love the thrill. So it's good hands or a good audience to be around as a
Hmm.
film.
Is there any particular films that you, because there's a great lineup there that you're looking forward to seeing?
Actually, one another film that the same company, our company, did,
Mhm.
VHS, the new VHS, the
Yeah.
VHS Halloween. I'm a big fan of it, so I'm looking forward to it. I refrained from watching it. I know I could get the link, but I
Yeah.
refrained from just to get to come to the festival and watch it with an audience. I think films like that to be what because I kind of experienced that here because we don't have the audiences that are going to be in Fantastic Fest here,
Yeah.
or even normal like horror movies in cinemas. It was just the movement of horror. It's good, but it's not as big as it is in the West. So a film like VHS is something I would love to watch with an audience. And fantastic. So yeah.
Yeah. Do you remember that first movie that you saw, that maybe a horror movie or something, a genre movie that kind of that touched you and made you think, ah, maybe I want to do this?
Actually, good question. It wasn't that. It was a movie that I watched because my uncles used to collect a lot of VHS tapes, and so I used to go. My mom's from Kuwait. I used to go to Kuwait. It was right after the first Gulf War. So my uncles were working the military base, so the American military base. So they would like change VHS tapes with the American soldiers, and they'd get from America. We'll get the newest and the latest, right?
Yeah.
And I remember they used to be avid watchers, but one day in his library he had a movie and he put it on, and I was 8 years old and it was The Exorcist. I mean, that was an unforgettable moment. I was scared shitless. Like I was done. I was,
Mhm.
but for some reason I still remember that moment as scared as I was like, this is such an interesting because he'd stop it and he'd talk about the filmmaker William Friedkin, he'll talk about the actors, and he'll talk about the moment and what happened. Like he really loved movies. He's a doctor and he's a doctor in the military, but he just loved movies. So that was one of the films that early on that kind of scared me to death, but kind of worked and raised my passion. So
Yeah. And how great is that? It's a full circle moment because now you're getting to make those movies that scare people.
Yes, true, true, true. Yeah, that definitely
Uh,
helped.
yeah, absolutely. Well, and of course, it's such a blessing to be able to do, a job like this. Do you remember a moment on this set where you're just kind of looking around going, this is really working. I think people are gonna like this.
Yeah, not like it's because you're always stressed and you're always like panicked, and when you're making a movie, you're working against time. And there were a few moments that yes, I did feel that. I'm like, it was a moment that I just woke up like every time I feel stressed and every time I feel like oh this is like it's because we're passionate about it and we want to do it well and you have your doubts and you have this and sometimes you're like hey am I fooling everyone I'm not even a filmmaker, what am I doing here, I'm not even a director, why am I calling myself a director? I'd walk into set with that state of mind but then like literally someone would say something to you and it would pick you up, but I kept on reminding myself, I'm like wait, hold up, you're doing what you're doing is because you love cinema and you love movies. And don't forget. And I started recounting all the movies that I loved. I love watching. Like, for example, One Car Wai in the Mood for Love has nothing to do with my movie. But that was a movie that really changed when I was 22 years old. When I watched it, I hated it the first four times I watched it. But then
Mhm.
the fifth time I watched it, I was like blown away. I'm like, there was something about it. There was something about that just moved me. And every time I feel down, that's a movie I go to just to watch and just remind myself, okay, this is what cinema is. This is why you love cinema. And remind yourself that you're doing this because you love it and no one is putting a gun to your head. And it's all right if you're gonna fail. It's all right if you do a mistake. Just remember that, have fun with it and enjoy it.
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, last thing, I cannot wait to see what you do next. What are we
Thank
gonna
you.
see next from you?
Well, it's definitely something fun. Definitely the genre. But I'm not sure yet. I definitely want to explore more gore. My next
Yeah.
one, Arabic gore. Something I want to do something that of course with horror is such a new genre to the Arab world. Not a lot of horror movies come out of the Arab region. So for me, I want to test out that the different avenues of the genre itself in the Arab world. So I'm eyeing the gore a little bit at this point, but we'll see.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we can't wait for that. But for now, can't wait to see you in Austin for Fantastic Fest, where you tell everybody to check out the film. It's so good. And look forward to talking to you in person there.
For sure. Thanks,
Okay, thanks so
Paul.
much. Appreciate
All
you.
right.